It's a little dark. I get it, but you can see me, so all good. Since I'm live right now, I'm gonna wait a couple minutes before I start talking. Give you an update on myself. Talk about my most severe issues right now. I'm 7.5 years off of benzos, and I'm still tapering Remeron. I've tapered off other psychiatric drugs after I was polydrugged off of, polydrugged after benzos. So I'm definitely protracted, and my nervous system really can't catch up because I'm tapering and living my life. With that said, I'm going to wait an extra 1 minute and then I'll get going. Hope everybody's good tonight, or at least doing your best and getting through your day. Hope your holidays were good. Now you just have to get through New Year's and we could start all over. Christmas was great on my end. It's just a lot. Had a pretty full week. A lovely, wonderful week. But as people know who's watching this, it's stimulating no matter what. And it's hard. You can still have fun, but it can be really hard. All right, here we are, 2 minutes. Anyway, I'm talking anxiety today, at least for right now. The one thing after my setback, after I got the nerve test, one of the biggest things that happened, I had a ton of physical problems, which are slightly going away, little by little. Not going away, but getting to a point that's more close to what I'm used to. I still got a ways to go, probably a couple months, I think, to get it back to at least a level that's tolerable. But one of the things that is most intense is my anxiety. And I don't help it any because it's always there. So I think about it and scan for it. But it's just a higher level of anxiety, and it's hard to breathe and it's hard to function right. So distractions are huge key for me to get through it. But as you probably know, distraction is insanely exhausting. Hey, Sean. Sean says, Valium fried my brain so damn badly. Hope I said that right. So damn badly. I get you. I have the cognition of a potato after I got off. 3 years off, and I'm finally much better. That's great. That's good to hear. Not that it was 3 years, but if you weren't polydrugged on anything, I always said for bad cases, it's usually about 3 or 4 years. For me, it was going to be double to triple that, just because I had to get off of 4 or 5 other drugs, and I'm getting off of Remeron now. And then once I'm off of that, I think I'll be home free after a couple of years. It'll be a while, but I got to get through this. And I get a cognition. I rarely know the right words sometimes, but I always say my brain shit and my perception and all that, but my cognition, that's good. It's rough now for me. My cognition is very fucked up. The anxiety spikes that as well. That doesn't help. It's just I have a lot of adrenaline shooting through my body. It's really hard. So it's day by day with that. Sometimes I almost feel like I'm going to piss myself, the anxiety is so bad. And some days it's a little better. But it's a setback that is extremely hard to handle. Ugh. So I start to get depressed. I mean, sometimes I shouldn't even be talking about it because I start to get pretty depressed because it's like the setback that I've recently had, and who knows where it's going, you know. Um, I shouldn't have these kind of setbacks this far out. That's it's really hard for me to handle. I sometimes can accept it now, and sometimes I can't. If it was linear, it'd make much more sense, but it's not even close to linear. It's so fucked up and down. And it's like, why is my anxiety so bad? But like, again, this week was a very full week for me, and I still have more this week I have to accomplish. So I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure what's going to happen. My physical symptoms have calmed down, I would say 20%, which is great. But if my anxiety and some of the cognitive type brain issues actually could catch up to that, that'd be great. But the anxiety has to calm down almost for that to happen, because the anxiety is just keeping my nervous system wrecked. So it's like there's no winning. And then I think, is this just going to be a constant battle for the next few years until it feels a little better? Because I have to taper my Remeron. I have to. But in this kind of state, I can't. And it's like, this is why I know it's going to take so long to taper Remeron, because I always have setbacks for one reason or another. And then I have to wait the setback out. You know, as long as the anxiety is this high, like I can deal with a lot of the physical symptoms as long as the mental are okay. But the mental's not okay at all. It got to a point where I was hoping it wouldn't go back to. And just weeks ago, I was saying, I can't believe it got to this point again. And it's true. I mean, my anxiety is worse than it's probably ever been since the beginning. I mean, it's not as bad as it was then, of course, but like the only thing I can compare it to is closer to the beginning of my mess. And it's like, my anxiety didn't even get like this when I fucked up Remeron and over tapered. And that was a heavy setback. But it did make my depression debilitating for like 2 weeks. But this anxiety is just like, it starts to get better and I'll start feeling confident. And I'll be like, okay, it's getting better. And then I get hit again with the major anxiety, where it's like exhausting to talk like it is now. I love the holidays this year. I had a really nice time. But I really wish I could enjoy the holidays without being this sick. That's what I wish. Some days are easier, but I happen to have a pretty rough day on Christmas, which is fine. I made it through, you know, as always. But it's exhausting. It's exhausting. You know, yeah, I'm in the point where like I look around of everything I've obtained and done in the last year, and I've done more in the last year than I have in 7.5 years. I overdid it many times. I put myself into waves and whatnot. But my big mistake was doing that test. That test for my nerves, my carpal tunnel. That threw me so far back, where it's not just a wave, it's a setback. It's a major setback. And I know anxiety is pretty much driven in this, and I know the nervous system plays that huge role in it that makes it happen, because it's fucking pure adrenaline. And sometimes in the evening it gets better, but today it has just been all fucking day. So it's been pretty exhausting. I still got stuff done today, thank goodness. But it's like I never have enough time to rest. I mean, I do rest all the time. That's the fucking thing. But it's just not good enough. And I can't sit and stare at the wall for 5 days straight just so things can calm down. I don't know what else to do. That's the thing. I'm not sure what else to do in this situation. You know, I have to do my job, and I'm not forced to do anything else. But like, I still, like, my brain just says, dude, you gotta get out once in a while. Because it's just been almost a decade for me. 7.5 years. Well, that's almost a fucking decade. I'm purely exhausted. And I'm exhausted of not being able to live. There was a time for the past year I was able to get out a little bit more. And I was testing my body and brain, which is more than awesome. And usually it would always throw me into waves and stuff like that. But it's like I have to, like, kind of weigh it, what's worth what. And it was worth going out once in a while. Now I'm in a situation, I can go out once in a while, but I can't do anything super heavy, I can't do anything super big. I can go to a restaurant, or, I can't even take a walk because that fucks with me bad. Of course, walking sometimes helps the anxiety. So it's kind of a lose-lose, win-win kind of thing. I've had bouts of anxiety like this, but usually they last about 2-3 weeks. This has been going on for about a month now. So that's how I know it's been a pretty bad setback. My physical symptoms are starting to calm down, and once those are calmed down, usually the mental and stuff like that will start to calm down. At least that's what I've seen in the past. And I hope usually it's the mental that's always last. And sometimes that can last forever. But it's like, my body's not ready to taper again, which sucks because that just adds on to the longevity of this mess. I could just suffer through it. I don't mind the withdrawals from tapering. I can deal with that. But it's the long-term nervous system hit I get. And it'll just go on and on and on. Up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, until it's baselined. It can take a while, every time. And like right now, I'm so fragile, so freaking fragile that it's hard to do anything. I'm a little stronger than I was, I would say, a few weeks ago. Not in the anxiety situation, but like because there was a little bit of that, I would say, a week where walking for a couple minutes threw me into hell. Like now I could probably do the walking a couple minutes and probably just not feel well. So it's getting a little better, getting a little bit stronger. But why is the anxiety why is it rearing its ugly head so bad? It's not like it's, there's always like little triggers that can make it worse, of course. I've got life changes going to happen. I've got work I have to do, keep up with the bills and stuff like that. There's always anxiety, but I'm just tired. It's like none of it's so intense to me that like would cause this kind of anxiety. So it's like, it just feels like adrenaline, and like it's tolerable when I'm busy, but I can't be busy all day. I try to meditate when I can. Like I meditated for about a half hour today, which helped during after that for a little bit. But things are so intense today that it's just like nothing helps. Yeah, it's just exhausting. So if you got any questions about yourself or your story or anything, feel free to ask, and I'll definitely try to answer. I've been doing this for a long time. And although I wouldn't say my answers are going to be 100% because I'm still fucked up, but I could tell you what I have learned. you know, in the process, you know. I mean, one of the most important things you can do is make yourself a decent diet. And sometimes I don't. Sometimes I eat something off and it makes me feel unwell and it fucks things up a little bit. But I'm also only human, and I've been eating baked chicken for 7.5 years. So yeah, once in a while I'll eat something else. That's just how it goes. And it doesn't go well. But being perfect in this is really hard to do. You know, one of my strongest suggestions, if you're just getting off benzos or you're tapering, don't get on another drug. If you're already on something and you've already been, then, you know, that's up to you. But getting on a new one, that's to me 100% no. Just deal with the fucking symptoms and get yourself through it. I mean, if you need to take something once in a while for something, like you haven't slept in a week, well, take something, but don't take anything like a antipsychotic or a fucking antidepressant to go to sleep. No need to get stuck on another drug like I did. You know, that's silly. If you have to take one thing, no, that's not a benzo or a Z drug, and it helps, right? Take it once, take it twice, but don't take it anymore for a while. Don't get dependent on anything new, because all that does is make your nervous system go crazy because it's already shocked from the benzos. So it's so hard to heal. You can heal, but it takes fucking forever. And what's the point of that? Just so you can get one extra night of sleep? Because trust me, in the long run, it's gonna be way worse. There's so many things I would have changed. Absolutely. Absolutely would have changed. I would have never taken extra drugs. When they put me on Remeron or Seroquel and all this shit, whatever, to sleep, I would have said, "What the fuck's wrong with you? Why would I get on these antipsychotics and antidepressants and all this just to go to sleep?" I mean, there's so many other ideas out there, you know. It's hard for people like us, but there's other ideas. I don't know. It was hard for me, though. When I got off of benzos, I didn't sleep for 14 days. And I was so delirious, I would have done anything. But it's funny how I got more fucked up the later things got. The more I was on these other drugs, the worse my head got. And my head still fucking feels like that. So it doesn't feel much like that, but I just don't know if it's like what it did to me was permanent or will it slowly go away after I get off the drugs. I just don't know. I'll find out. I know I'll feel better off of this stuff, that's for sure. And any percentage better than this is great. I just don't want to have that pit in my fucking stomach of pure anxiety that shoots through me all day. I don't want that anymore. That's the worst. And I've said that since the beginning. The worst part of this whole thing for me is raging anxiety. And that is the truth. And now that it's back, it's a stark reminder of how true that is. I've been saying it for years. If somebody said, "What was your worst symptom?" I would say the fucking anxiety that made the brain shit way worse. You know, feeling like I'm tripping on acid or my cognitive shit is totally fucked up and perception is fucking weird. That shit's fucking crazy. But you put anxiety on it, then you're terrified and paranoid of it. Like if the anxiety's down, it's like, okay, those symptoms really suck, but they're not as scary today. That's what's rough about anxiety in this, because then all of a sudden your symptoms become really scary. And there is no changing that for me. Anxiety's up, my symptoms scare me. Doesn't matter if it's 7.5 years later. They still scare me. But anyway, I'm going to be heading off here in about 5 minutes. So if you got any, like I said, if you got any questions, feel free to ask. I just been having a really rough day anxiety-wise, physically. not as horrible as I was a few weeks ago. I still have a lot of akathisia stuff, but the crawling in my head is a lot less. Thank fucking goodness. The pressure in my head is a little bit, but it's seriously way less than it was. And that lasted. I had the pressure in my head before I even had that weird test, the nerve test. So, like, I was already overdoing it and having some pretty severe symptoms from overdoing it. We need to do more self-care. Life gets in the way. It's almost exhausting to do self-care because it's something else that you have to do. Excuse me. Meditation for me is hard, especially with anxiety like this. But the more I do it, the more my nervous system is going to learn to calm the fuck down. And although I don't know how much it worked throughout the years, but would I be alive today if I didn't do it? Who fuck knows, right? You just don't fucking know. Anything could have happened. Safe to say I'm exhausted. I'm going to have a pretty big day tomorrow, and I'll tell you about it next week. But it's going to be a big day. And other than one thing next month, all I have to do is work. And within those other days, it's going to be me closing my eyes a lot, meditating, breathing, just trying to calm the fuck things down. And it's weird, no matter how much I try to calm things down, it's like my body just doesn't want to do it. And I don't see why. It's weird. I'm trying a new thing, which is really basic and silly, more or less. But I've been talking to my own brain. I'll be like, listen, you can calm down. It's okay. Like when I'm watching TV and everything's just freaking out and my brain's just like, what the fuck? I'm just like, dude, it's okay. You can relax. You can calm down. Nobody's forcing you to go crazy and shoot out all this adrenaline. Nothing's going on. My body is stressed out, yes, but it's okay. We can relax and watch TV. Nothing's going to happen. So I've been trying to do self-talk. It hasn't helped. But, that's all I've got. So you do what you can, right? I'm in the process of just doing some home stuff, and I took the ornaments off my Christmas tree today, which was a lot of work. It was a lot of work. Up, down, up, down, up, down, bending over, up and down. It's a lot of work. So that's all I did. Other than my job today, but a little bit of organization here. That's it. That's the way it went. It's easy. It's pretty easy day. Didn't feel like it though. Didn't feel like it at all. It felt like I ran a marathon. And I'm sure you're like me. If you're in my situation and you're sick as fuck, I can't help. And I don't go on Facebook as much as I used to. But I get so weirded out about two things. One, seeing people do things I can't do. Two, people talking about things that are unrealistic in almost anybody's life. What I do like about Facebook is I get to talk about my girlfriend and talk about how things are pretty damn good for me, just not my health. I've built so much in this last year, and I'm happy, but I want to be able to be happy without being sick because it would make it so much easier to be happier. I'm happy, but it's harder to reach. I mean, you have to put it in the perspective of somebody who's got the major flu. If somebody gave you $1,000, like I said, here you go, and you were, somebody who would be willingly could help take it and use it, a healthy person would be like, man, that's awesome. But if you had like COVID and you got the $1,000, you'd be really happy, but it would be a lot harder. It'd be lot harder to get that excitement. Even though you feel it, it's just harder to grasp. And it just takes more work. And sometimes emotions come in differently. Especially when you're on medication you shouldn't be on, like me. Luckily, I'm not on the biggest dose in the world, which I don't talk about anymore because that's just my business. But if I taper 2 or 3 times a year, which is like pretty much it, I'll be off of it in 2 or 3 years. Probably 3 years, more safely saying, because I have too many setbacks. What's really complicated is my setbacks. It's like once I finally feel decent, I have to taper and fuck it all back up. Of course, hopefully I won't be this bad. I've never been this bad even for a taper. Not unless I fucked up the taper. That's it. But yeah, it's been hell. It's been complicated as fuck. And I don't know how I'm going to get to where I need to get. I have no idea how I'm going to get there. Because it doesn't feel like I'm going to be able to. I feel my body's going to give out before I win this. But I will die trying. That's 100% sure. 100%. I will die trying. I won't give up. I won't off myself, or I won't just give up. I will fight to the very end. And if I happen to just die because my body shit itself because it can't handle it anymore, then so be it. I won't fucking know it, so I guess it won't matter. But I feel bad. I guess I feel bad right now for people who do genuinely care for me, or people I've helped, But I will go down trying my best to get through this every single day. There was a time, not even that long ago, where my days weren't all distraction anymore. I got to that point. That took a long time. But now my days are filled with distraction again. And the anxiety plays such a big role with it. I didn't realize it's like a lot of it was anxiety for a lot of years. And this is what it felt like. It's different now because my head's a little clearer. Not by much, but it's clearer to where it's not as terrifying to like look somebody in the eye and have a conversation. Thank God for that, because that was hell for years. I couldn't even have a fucking phone conversation without it being so fucking bizarre. God, I remember those days. It was terrifying. I was so disabled for so long. And I'm not like that anymore, but I'm in such bad shape. I have definite PTSD from that I'm terrified it's coming back. And I don't think it is like that, but I'm so far back that it's like, I couldn't bear to keep doing this. You know what I mean? It's brutal. And what I don't really explain much to anybody anymore, but when I do, it's like all of this, and there's not one fucking thing I can do about it. Self-care, that's it. All the problems people bitch about, that was one of my Facebook problems, is people bitching about dumb shit. Dumb shit. Oh, I'm not going to be able to go out for a week because I've got a cold or got COVID. Well, I don't wish COVID on anybody, because sometimes, you know. It's almost taken out some people I've really cared about. But it's like when it's just mild, you know, that's all I'm saying. Like a cold or flu, I can't go out for a week. Wow. You know, it sucks. And I try to put my, you know, I try to understand from the outside it's outside that people only know what they know. So I understand why it sucks. But I think people need to stop taking shit for granted. Your life is pretty damn good. And it's like you're literally sick and you're pretty much eating whatever the fuck you want. You're smoking weed. You're having what you call a hot toddy, which you're just drinking alcohol. You're sick and you're able to do all this. These are things that I dream of doing, which I'm not. And I don't plan to ever drink again, to be honest. I don't even think I'll smoke weed again, just because I want my clarity in my brain. I just don't know. If I do, I'll probably be elderly, because I want a lot of years where I feel healed or feel like I'm past this stuff before I do anything like that. Because I get a lot of DPDR no matter what, so I don't need that getting worse. And I would say my DPDR has been the best it's ever been until recently, where it's been the worst it's been in years. So my body and brain are doing its thing. It's trying to get past whatever the fuck's, you know, my nervous system is trying to do to me. But you know how there's usually a list, like after you get off benzos and you start learning, okay, don't drink alcohol because that could totally set you back. Don't take a benzo, that'll totally set you back. Well, one of the things I would suggest to stay away from, if you don't have a choice, if you have a choice, is that nerve stimulation test for carpal tunnel. I know it sounds like it makes sense, like, oh yeah, I wouldn't do that. Seriously, I've been here for a long time, and for some reason, I didn't even put it together. Sometimes I just don't think. And here I am, I feel years setback. And it's been a month. It's been absolutely heartbreaking and brutal. I want so bad to just take a fucking pill and calm the fuck down. So bad. I hate feeling that way. And there's nothing I can fucking do. Ugh. Such a tragedy. Such a bummer. All right. Well, I've made it. What do we got? 38 minutes? 33 minutes. Not too bad. A little over a half hour of groaning about my anxiety. Hopefully I can make a video really soon that says my anxiety's feeling a little better today. That'd be great. Anyway, you all have a wonderful night. Get through the New Year's, you know, and don't feel obligated to drink, because you can set your fucking self back big time if you're off of benzos. So, Happy New Year, and I will see you I'll either come on New Year's Eve or I'll come on after. Either way, Happy New Year.